Hello, and welcome to the Orthodontic Products Podcast. I'm your host, Alison Werner. On this episode, we're going to talk about DISC, a behavior assessment tool, and how it can help you create a more cohesive team. And to do that, Cassie Kellner is back with me. Cassie is the founder and owner of Everbloom, an orthodontic consulting firm. She has over 2 decades of experience in the orthodontic field, starting as a team member before turning to consulting, lecturing, and working as a practice coach. Cassie, thanks for joining me again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to talk about DISC. Let's just start at the beginning. What is DISC?
Okay. By the way, have you ever taken an assessment? I don't know that I've asked you this.
A DISC assessment, no, but I've done like Myers-Briggs and that kind of stuff.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So it's very similar.
Okay.
So DISC is a behavior assessment, and there are four things that you can really navigate through here, right?
Okay.
So you have dominance, which is D. You have I for influence. You have S for steadiness and C for conscientiousness. So D is for dominance. These people are like super, they are dominant in things that they do, right? So they like to be in control. There's some power there. They like to get immediate results. There's no fluff. And then you have I for influence. So I is super social. They're almost like the cheerleader of the team. They like to yeah, guys, let's do this. They're super high energy. And then you have steadiness. Steadiness likes to keep things very cohesive. They do not like to be in chaotic environments. They like the team to get along. They don't like toxic cultures. They're almost like the team therapist. They fall into this role a lot. And then you have C, which is conscientiousness. So conscientiousness, C team members they make sure that things are incredibly accurate. Like they're super detail oriented. They really focus on data. They don't love being wrong because they focus so much on data that they are super accurate. Like they're very meticulous in what they do. So it is actually not very common for them to be wrong because they're such detailed oriented people. So that's kind of like a very short, easy breakdown of all of the behaviors when it comes to DISC.
Okay. And then you take this behavior assessment, you find out if you're a D, an I, an S, a C. Could you be 2 things?
You can be 2 things. So depending on where you land on the DISC wheel, you can fall in different categories. This is like going to get confusing, so I won't go too deep.
But that's fine.
You also have like shading, right? Your shading is everything. So if anybody's ever seen, a DISC wheel, you can see that shading lands somewhere. So me personally, I am a high I. So my shading, I live in the I. I'm super enthusiastic. I love working in group settings, things like that. But if somebody also were to be an I, but also have a dominant personality, they could be an ID.
Okay.
Right? So you can be multiple. They have to be neighbors. They have to be neighbors. So you can be like an IS or an SI. You can be an SC. So they have to be neighbors within the wheel. But yes, you can be multiple. And then if we went even further, you could have shading that would maybe land somewhere else where maybe it's easy for you to live in that behavior, essentially.
Okay, and so you take this assessment, you find out where you land. How are you then using that?
So I use this in orthodontic practices, and I can tell you my story on why I started using this.
Why did you decide to become a DISC coach? Let's go there first.
All right. So in 2020, we all know 2020. We remember 2020.
Yep.
In 2020, I was a consultant, and I realized that I was a consultant / therapist. I was constantly checking in with people. People were reaching out to me because they were struggling with X, Y, and Z. And we had very limited connection that year, right? And people were struggling to connect. We also had generational divides. things were happening in the world that people were really struggling to connect.
Yeah.
People were struggling to connect with their own team members.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that I was playing this role of consultant, which I love and I know, but I was also playing this role of therapist, and I have no degree in therapy whatsoever. And but people are my thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I have to do something more. I have to be able to understand individuals. I want to know the why behind their behaviors and what they're doing, as opposed to giving advice or helping team members when I don't really have enough information about what's really going on. Fast forward, I did a crazy amount of research and I landed on DISC. I thought it was the easiest tool for practices and really anyone to understand themselves and their team members.
Okay.
So I became a DISC coach. And so now it's been, just over 4 years because it was early in 2020. And it's been amazing to watch these team members evolve and connect while using this tool.
Okay, so can you share an experience of working with an orthodontic team and bringing DISC in, and how that goes and what it can accomplish?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's many different things that you can get from it. One, it's the first and foremost, it's just a lot of fun. Like being able to sit around with your team and discuss who you are. It is so much easier as an adult and an adult in the workplace environment to have it written out in black and white, and for me to go, oh, yep, this is exactly who I am, and this is why I am the way that I am. And for people across from you to go, oh, this makes so much sense. And you go, oh, yes, this does make so much sense, right?
Yeah.
In the workshop, there's a lot of self-reflection. There's a lot of sharing. People share. There's exercises that we do. And a lot of it is like, okay, so I want you to read through. This is a perfect example. There's a page of motivators and stressors. What motivates you? What stresses you out based on your behavior, right? So I'm like, okay, I want you to highlight 3 statements that you want to announce to your team. This is an exercise I was doing for a practice. The orthodontist, she starts hysterically laughing. And I'm like, what? And everyone's quiet because they're doing the exercise. And she goes, I really just want to color the entire page. I can't believe this is me in black and white. And, that's not the case for everyone. But for, I would say in my experience, 98% of people that are taking these assessments are so blown away at how correct it is because of they're the ones taking the assessment, right? And there's no right or wrong answer, and there's no personality or behavior that is better than the other. Quite honestly, you want your team to land in all 4 of these categories because then you have a really well-rounded team. I had a colleague for years that I was an I and she was a C. And we worked so well together, but we were so incredibly opposite. But my strengths were her weaknesses and her weaknesses were my strengths. So you want everyone to land everywhere on this wheel. But, being able to connect, reading this in black and white, being able to say these things out loud, like, yeah, this actually does stress me out. I don't like when this happens. It really just almost gives team members a voice to say, this is who I am. And now you get me on a deeper level.
How does an orthodontic team know if they could benefit from working with DISC?
Honestly, I would say any team, any orthodontic or not, would benefit from doing DISC. It doesn't matter if you're a new team, a small team, a team who has worked together for 15 to 20 years, a large team, you name it, everyone, in my opinion, should do this because I've worked with teams who know each other so well, they're almost like a family. And so going into it, they're like, oh yeah, I knew this, but they didn't know why. It also gives them an opportunity to speak up. Right? There are plenty of team members, that sit in meetings and they're the last to speak up. You'll find that people who land in the I category, they're always the first to speak up. They want to share first. And people who fall in the C or S category, they'll let everyone else go before they have to speak up, right? Yeah. But there's an understanding of like, why do you do this? Or there are plenty of people out there that do not like social recognition. They don't want you to announce what a good job they did. You can tell them, but they don't need you to broadcast this to the entire team. And then there are team members who are like, this is my love language. Please announce that I've done all of these things because it makes me feel good. It helps me thrive in this practice. So, again, I think it should be everyone. I think it's also incredibly, really, it does such an amazing job at culture building. So, people understand each other and they can connect more. In one of the exercises that I do, we do comparison reports. Okay. This is really fun. So it's like a breakout session and I pair individuals who either have styles that are alike or completely opposite. Okay. Or if there's some tension happening, then we'll do a comparison report and we'll find out why. Okay. And so, it's just a really great tool to get to know your team.
Okay. So it really sounds like it can help with those dynamics between two employees or the culture as a whole.
Absolutely. There's a million DISC assessments that you can take out there. I mean, if you Google this, everything's going to pop up for you. I use a very specific DISC assessment. Okay. So it's through Wiley. And so essentially what you get with it as a practice is they get to have a login forever. So not only do you get the assessment, the workshop, but they also get a portal where they can log in and they can see everyone on their team at any given moment. So let's say, Alison, let's say that you and I worked together, right? And we really wanted to understand each other and maybe there was some tension. Or maybe I was starting a project or an initiative and I wanted your buy-in on it. I could simply just click on your name and it would pull in your behavior and it's going to do a comparison right there of how you get Alison to buy in on things that you want. If there's tension between Cassie and Alison, how do you go about this based on their behavior and where they landed on this wheel? So not only do you get workshops and assessments, but you also get to use this going forward. Anyone can, but really your leadership team can use this as a tool to make sure that you guys that any team is constantly connecting.
Can you talk a little bit about how DISC can work for a startup practice and then how it benefits an established practice? Because I'm imagining there's some benefits or a different vibe for each of those.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So a startup, obviously you have a much smaller team, but if you are a startup, your team members are likely doing multiple different roles, right? So true. You may have, your scheduling coordinator maybe also doing a TC role, or maybe they're doing some financials. You may have a clinical team member that's running in a million different directions. So just because you're small does not mean you're not mighty. And they should be able to connect on a deeper level. So just like I talked about, understanding motivators and stressors for a startup practice, like really getting to the bottom of who these individuals are, I think is incredibly important. Now, to go to the experience side, you typically, if you're an experienced practice, you have more team members. There may be turnover there's so many interpersonal dynamics. If you're a very large team, even if you're a team member of 5, team member of 10, team member of 50, to understand each other's behaviors, I think, in my opinion, in the workplace is absolutely crucial so that you know what they can handle, what they can't handle, what they like, what they don't like, what motivates them, what stresses them out, how they collaborate with other individuals. And it also just truly, this assessment, whether you're a startup or experienced, or you have a very large practice or a small practice, it allows your team to have a safe space to go, yes, this is who I am. This is what I love. This is what really stresses me out.
Yeah.
It gives them strategies to be able to work with other individuals who are not like them.
Well, and you just mentioned there, it gives you strategies for how to work with people who aren't like you. So it does take it a step further beyond just telling you who you are or helping
Oh,
your
yes.
teammates identify who you are. There are strategies, I guess, that come with understanding what your
Absolutely.
assessment or your type is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it breaks it down for you, right? If
Mm-hmm.
I'm an I and I'm really struggling with working with a D personality,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to give me strategies on exactly how to go about this, how to approach them, what they like, what they don't like, so
Mm-hmm.
that I can really work with these individuals. So as leaders, to be able to understand your team on a deeper level, I mean, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably one of the best things that you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it all sounds like, to tie this together to some of our previous episodes, like we talked about building a thriving culture and, working with your onboarding. It's all aimed at building that team cohesiveness, that team culture, building a team, so you're not just
Absolutely.
individuals working in an office.
Yeah. I mean, that's my mission too, Allison,
Mm-hmm.
like I've been doing this a really long time, and truly the reason why I do what I do now, and the creation of Everbloom, is that individuals are allowed to continue to bloom.
Mm-hmm.
My mission is, well, yes, I think systems and financials and technology, I think all of those things are really important for a
Mm-hmm.
thriving practice.
Yeah.
I think if you start with your humans, your team, your
Mm-hmm.
individuals first, and all of the things that I believe in that we do at Everbloom,
Yeah.
then you can work on your bottom line. You can work on production. You can work on all these things if you have a thriving, loving team.
Great. Well, Cassie, if anyone is interested in working with you, where can they find out more?
They can go to discovereverbloom.com. And for this in particular, they can go
Mm-hmm.
to culture building workshops. We have many different workshops. You could do a one workshop with your entire team.
Okay.
We also have a 6-month culture building program
Hmm.
for your entire team. And we also
Okay.
have a leadership program where we work with leaders, and that we tap into emotional intelligence, leading. It's a really fun workshop that we do too.
Oh, well, great. Well, Cassie, always a pleasure to have you on, and we'll talk to you again soon. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Allison.
As always, thank you for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to the Orthodontic Products Podcast to keep up with the latest episodes, and be sure to check out orthodonticproductsonline.com to keep up with the latest industry news. Until next time, take care.